Number 9. Malik Muhammad RIAZ. In January of 2021, a man was attacked by a leopard as he was working in the field in the Abbottabad region of Pakistan. The feline had reportedly wandered into the Pawal Saya village and pounced on Malik Muhammad RIAZ. Other villagers heard his desperate screams and rushed to help him. The mob killed the leopard with sticks and stones. RIAZ was taken to a local hospital with injuries to multiple areas of his body, including the abdomen, arm, and leg. Leopards are protected by law, and the authorities launched an investigation to determine if it had indeed approached a human settlement or if RIAZ had entered its natural habitat. There had recently been similar attacks in the region, and forest officials had to determine if it hadn't been a revenge killing. Number 8. Dwight Turner. In late August of 2020, a man in his 50s was attacked by a full-grown black leopard at a backyard zoo in DEVI, Florida. Dwight Turner had paid $150 for a full-contact experience with the deadly feline, advertised as an opportunity to play with it, rub its belly, and take pictures. As soon as he got in the enclosure, it attacked, inflicting gruesome injuries to his scalp and tearing his right ear in half. Turner was left with a dangling flap of skin on his head, which his wife had to press into place. In the aftermath of the mauling, he received 22 stitches and was at risk of losing his ear. Following his release from the hospital, Turner required further treatment after his wounds became infected. The animal's owner, 54-year-old Michael Poggi, subsequently told the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission that he knew what he was doing was illegal. He was charged with 2 wildlife violations. One was maintaining captive wildlife in an unsafe or unsanitary condition, or in a manner that results in threats to public safety, and the other was permitting a Class A cat to come into physical contact with the public. He pled guilty to both and was ultimately sentenced to 6 months probation. Forced interactions between exotic cats and humans have seen a dramatic rise in popularity, particularly due to the reactions they get when posted on social media. Viral videos uploaded by various big cat owners, such as those in Netflix Tiger King, show them swimming or play wrestling with them. Numerous wildlife experts have argued that this creates a false notion that interacting with them is safe. This can have disastrous implications since, as conservation biologist Imogene Cancelar put it, their brains are literally designed to be ambush predators. Number 7. Rampage on oil compound. In 2012, a wild leopard went on a rampage after making its way into the Oil India Limited headquarters in Duliajan. Several leopards had been spotted in the region due to the compound's proximity to the Joypur Reserve Forest. Once inside, the leopard had already attacked several staff members by the time forest officials arrived to the scene. They shot it with tranquilizer darts and then tried trapping it with nets. The drugs failed to take effect, and the leopard pounced on a large crowd which had gathered at the spot. Officials were reportedly forced to shoot it dead. At least 13 people had reportedly sustained injuries during the day-long rampage. Number 6. HULIGESH DODDEERAPPA. In the fall of 2020, a 23-year-old man from India's Karnataka state was attacked, killed, and dismembered by a leopard. For several years, HULIGESH DODDEERAPPA had worked as a cook at the Adishakti temple in a small village. He'd recently taken a job at a cowshed, tending to the animals. DODDEERAPPA was on his way home from the cowshed when he was attacked. A rural police inspector speculated that the leopard had pounced when the man was relieving himself at the foot of a hill. It inflicted horrific injuries. DODDEERAPPA's family alerted the authorities after he failed to return home. His dismembered body was found close to a cave entrance. DODDEERAPPA's left leg was missing. The leopard had eaten parts of his face, torso, and arms. The man's mutilated head was found next to a pile of stones nearby. It's been proposed that the leopard which took his life was a serial man-eater. Number 5. Raghavendra Venkatesh. In early 2021, a young man from the Koppal district in the Indian state of Karnataka was mauled to death in a leopard attack, prompting protests from villagers in the area. 19-year-old Raghavendra Venkatesh was grazing his cattle when the feline charged and savaged him. Locals rushed to the site after seeing the scared cattle dispersing. The area had seen a number of leopard and bear attacks in recent years. Venkatesh's family and other villagers, frustrated by the lack of regulated protection against wildlife, blocked a road by burning tires. They demanded measures to be taken by Forest Minister Anand Singh against what they referred to as lethargic officials. Police officers were eventually able to pacify the protesters. In the aftermath, Anand Singh visited Venkatesh's family to hand them a compensation check and promised tighter control of dangerous local fauna. Number 4. Attack in Madhya Pradesh. In March of 2021, several people in a residential area of Madhya Pradesh, central India, were mauled by a leopard. It had escaped from the Ralamandal Wildlife Sanctuary in the city of Indore. One wildlife rescuer suffered severe lacerations after the snarling beast clamped on his shoulder and dragged him to the ground. Terrified bystanders could only watch in horror from higher ground as the attack unfolded. The leopard then turned its attention on a second man who suffered cuts to his face and body. Wildlife authorities tried to target it with tranquilizers, but the leopard's outstanding agility made it hard for them to get a clear shot. It evaded capture but was later tracked down to a farmhouse where it attacked a family of 3 before being chased away. Rescuers were ultimately able to tranquilize it. The leopard was taken to a zoo and, upon regaining consciousness, reportedly tried to bite its way out of the cage. The beast was eventually released into the wild. If you'd like to learn more about leopards in their natural habitat and how they raise their cubs alongside monkeys, hyenas, and even humans, check out the Smithsonian Channel's fascinating documentary called A Leopard Rocks. A link to it is provided in the description below. Number 3. Curtis Plum. In 2015, a tour guide at Kruger National Park in South Africa had his arm savaged by a leopard. 38-year-old Curtis Plum, who was working for the Ongon Safari Tours, was leading a group and driving an open-top safari vehicle. He decided to pull over so that the visitors could observe a leopard that was spotted in the area. However, by the time he brought their vehicle to a halt, Plum had lost sight of the big cat. Suddenly, it charged the vehicle on the driver's side, reached inside through an open window and sunk its teeth into Plum's arm. The vicious mauling was captured by tourist Grant Ford from a separate vehicle. The leopard's iron grip on the guide's limb was only broken after he'd reversed the vehicle and run it over. In spite of its injuries, it then aggressively charged the front of the vehicle. Fearing that it would jump inside and attack the occupants, Plum ran it over once more. The animal sustained crippling injuries and was later euthanized. Park officials stated that prior to attacking Plum, the leopard had sustained wounds from a fight with another animal. This presumably explained its heightened aggression. Plum recovered following surgery and rabies tests. Today's topic was requested by Giovanna Perez. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. KAMLA Devi. In the summer of 2014, Indian woman KAMLA Devi narrowly survived an encounter with a wild leopard in northern Uttarakhand state. She was carrying water from a canal to her field near a small village in the Rudraprayag district. The area has a dark past when it comes to leopard attacks. In the early 20th century, a man-eating leopard terrorized its villages. Even after locals would no longer go out at night, it would break down doors, jump through windows, or claw through the mud and thatch that made up the walls of their huts. It dragged occupants out and devoured them. The Rudraprayag leopard claimed at least 125 victims before it was hunted down. In 1926, in an attack reminiscent of those in the past, Devi was ambushed by a leopard that had wandered into a human settlement. As it tried to drag her away, the 56-year-old woman was able to fight back, using a spade and a sickle. She battled the leopard for nearly half an hour, smashing some of its teeth. Devi ultimately killed it, but not before sustaining severe injuries herself. The woman's body was covered in bite marks. She sustained 1 fracture in her left hand and 2 on the right. Deep puncture wounds were also present on her head. Fortunately, Devi eventually recovered. Number 1. DIDIHAT man-eater. Since January of 2012, a man-eating leopard brought terror to the northern region of DIDIHAT in the Indian Himalayas. As its taste for human flesh grew, so did the brazen nature of its attacks. Villagers from dozens of settlements avoided going out after sundown for fear of becoming its next victims. Moving between villages for trade and commerce had also become a perilous endeavor. Adding to the leopard's notoriety in the region was its habit of targeting inebriated men as they passed out or stumbled in the dark. According to wildlife expert Leopard Rawat, It would even consume the intestines of its victims, which man-eaters aren't usually known to do. Conservationists argued that the victims being drunk most likely had more to do with them being easy targets, rather than other speculation about the leopard finding their flesh more appealing. Forest officials issued a warrant authorizing the slaying of the beast. By the fall of 2014, it had claimed over a dozen victims and evaded hunters on several occasions. After a 2-year hunt, it was finally slain by Rawat after his crew had baited it with a goat. However, the nightmare wasn't over. They'd initially thought only one leopard had been responsible for the killings, but after taking out the older leopardess, the hunters spotted a younger male which was able to escape under the cover of darkness. A few days later, it too was killed by Rawat. The massive male weighed at least 275 pounds, more than an MMA heavyweight athlete. The animals had been prowling the area independently, and both had worn out canines, which explained them developing a taste for the softer meat of humans. Thanks for watching. Would you rather fight a full-grown leopard for 5 minutes or wear nothing but leopard print clothing for the rest of your life? Let us know in the comments section below.